I want to apologize to the systems for what I have done. It isn't okay, and it's completely absurd on how I had to let this happen twice, and spend literal hours in order to realize something that was supposed to be common sense. People even try to educate me despite me already hurting others. Even system staff were already trying to make people heard, and because of this, I had demoted them as well. I was too busy putting my wants over people's needs and ignored people that were genuinely just trying to feel accepted in my community. I take full responsibility for what had happened in my Discord server that is now owned by Angie. And I know that I can't fix what I've done, but I will make sure to finally listen to you all for once and realize that it isn't about me. And I'm sorry that you had to go through all of this for just simple respect. After learning the real harm of misusing tone tags, I have since stopped misusing them. But the thing is I shouldn't even have done it in the first place, and it was never okay. I was joking while doing it, but that doesn't make it any better. People generally need tone tags, and I should have known better than anyone else as a neurodivergent. Because there is no excuse for this, and it's just completely unacceptable, and I apologize for doing such a thing in the first place.
Well, you didn't say they were from the Undercity.
What difference does that make?
What They're dangerous.
You don't get it, you just don't get
I'm
it.
from
You've
the
already
Undercity.
forgotten even though I just said it.
I want to apologize to the autistic and neurodivergent community. I had initially made the video to go against discrimination, but it did quite the opposite. The person insulting Kelly, my autistic OC, has said the R slur. No matter what context it was, no matter what video or purpose it had, I still cannot reclaim the slur, and it should have never been typed. I take full responsibility for this, and I will never make a video like this ever again. I had this in my bio on YouTube for a while now, and there was no excuse for this. It is disgusting on how I had to use a language just to make an emoticon. No language should ever be used as an aesthetic. A language is a cultural thing, and for it to be used in this way is extremely disrespectful, and I am so sorry, and I'm taking full responsibility and will never use any language for aesthetic ever again. I'm so sorry for reading South Park smut. It is such a vile and disgusting thing to do. I never knew the degree of what I was doing since I had read it at the age of 12 through 13. I was confused about my trauma and coped with it in the worst way. I'm now realizing what I had done, and I'm looking at my past actions. They are completely disgusting, and there is no excuse. Even if it were done years ago, it doesn't take away from the hurt it caused other people to feel. These are literal kids, 8 through 13. This goes to the Pinterest boards as well. The My Hero Academia casts are all confirmed minors, and even if this board was 6 months ago, it still doesn't change the fact that I still did it. It is absolutely disgusting on how I had to use these images to satisfy my own hypersexual tendencies. And the Ratara art wasn't okay either. Even if he's most likely an adult, he still has an unconfirmed age and still could be a minor. This goes to me making NSFW of Korekio as well as having an emoji of his balls. And there is no proof of Korekio being an adult at all. I always saw him as me due to similar trauma, but he isn't me. He's his own person. I shouldn't even have put my hypersexual tendencies onto him, no matter how I felt about my trauma. Or better yet, I shouldn't even have done anything such as this in the first place. I removed the South Park and My Hero Academia smut from my profile and will no longer read those things or post NSFW art publicly. I take full responsibility for what I've done and read and will find new ways of coping with my trauma because this was extremely unhealthy by doing this. I not only hurt myself, but I hurt the people who had seen me consume such content. I apologize for drawing MPreg of Genshin Impact characters. At the time, my friend requested for them to be giving birth to the other as a joke. I didn't know the relations, but I thought that it would be funny at the time and accepted. Even if I didn't know, I should have asked questions and made sure what I was drawing was okay. I was the one who drew the piece. I was the one who should have done research to make sure they weren't brothers, and the fact that I didn't is completely disgusting and irresponsible. I will make sure to be careful with what I draw in the future and make sure that it isn't it. I will make sure to be careful with what I draw in the future and make sure that it isn't in any way violating or harmful. I am incredibly sorry to the black community for what I have done. I made a post about blackwashing and how it helped the black community, but then I ended the post by saying we. No matter what my intentions were, it never came out that way, and it wasn't even a subject that I should have had an opinion on. This goes to me using AAVE as well. I would commonly use the words like slay, even though I had no place to use these slangs because I am not a part of the black community. This should have been common sense, but I did it anyways. This is entirely my fault, and I take full responsibility for this. I know what I did was very shitty, and I can never take back those things I said. But I will make sure to improve in the future and prove that I will never do this ever again. I'm so sorry for showing you poop porn and making non-con jokes. At the time, I thought it was funny, but showing you those videos and making those little remarks without your consent is such a revolting thing to do. No matter if it was a joke, it was still gross and childish. And I shouldn't even have made those jokes in the first place. And the fact that I wasn't even respectful where you were venting about issues either. While you were venting, I had told you Vince said the same thing as well, which not only shares a vent, but it compares problems. Then I literally started to confront you about issues. You were clearly vulnerable. You were clearly not in the right mindset. You didn't need criticism. You just wanted to get your feelings out to the person that you trusted, and I let you down. It should have been common sense, but I couldn't even give you the bare minimum. I disrespected simple boundaries and made you feel uncomfortable, which isn't okay, and it never will be. I know this apology will never take back the things that you've experienced because of me. And if I could, I would have never considered it if I knew what damage that it caused you. But I was too focused on myself and what made me feel better that it hurt the people that were just trying to feel safe in a friendship, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for the lack of reassurance on my part with the server. I had never spoken up against the people who thought I made it. People had assumed I made the server, which wasn't the case at all. I had never noticed these things because of the lack of time I was active on the server itself, which wasn't okay either. Owning a server, I have a big responsibility and lots of time to put in, but I didn't, and that was extremely selfish. Even after you told me about these comments, I didn't do anything. I should have at least spoken up and at least made an announcement to share that I in fact did not make the server, but I just apologized to you privately. It doesn't solve anything if I don't actually do anything to stop it, and it certainly doesn't fix the problem to begin with. It just causes unneeded stress onto you while you are already in a stressful environment. And I'm so sorry for how I acted. I had never known that you were on break, but that doesn't change anything. It was my responsibility to check your channel, and it was my responsibility to check what had happened, because it doesn't just involve me, it involved you as well. Because of this, I had hurt you, and it isn't okay in any way. I had caused you to go back to the internet after a needed break, no matter how I felt about the things you did. It didn't mean that I could speak up while you were so vulnerable and just wanted a breather. This goes to me telling my fans to give you criticism as well. I shouldn't even have told them to comment at all. It isn't okay, and it never will be okay to do this. It's completely absurd on how I had to let this happen in order to realize something that was supposed to be common sense. I have a large platform, and I should have known the effect and influence that I would have. To make things worse, we both apologized privately. You had apologized publicly, which I did not. If you went public with the apology, mine should have been public as well. We were both hurt, but the fact that I didn't even give you the same respect in this situation as I should have is extremely selfish. There was no excuse for any of this, and I'm so sorry for what I had done. It will never fix the mental damage that it had caused you, but just know that I will change to become a better person to make sure I will never do this ever again. I want to apologize to the amblyopia community. Just because I took offense about a gotcha eye doesn't mean the community did as well. I should have never made that post, and I had no place or voice to talk about my thoughts about the subject. It was harming the same people I was trying to speak for. My voice should have never been there because I do not have a lazy eye. If I wanted to help in any way, I could have just boosted someone who actually did have it and felt uncomfortable. In no circumstances should I ever be talking for a community that I am not a part of. And I'm so sorry for the people I've hurt. And from now on, I will no longer speak for the communities that I don't associate with and finally do the bare minimum. I was never capable of being a server owner. I knew that it was a big responsibility, but I was too stubborn to let the server go. I shouldn't have ever taken a leader role if I wasn't ready for it, because it doesn't just affect me, it affects the big server with 2K plus members relying on me to be capable. While owning the server, I had not only made people uncomfortable, I had taken credit for the resolved raids by saying we fixed it, despite not paying attention to what had happened. I've since given Angie the server due to her being more fit for the role. It took me so long to realize this, and I'm so sorry for the people that were affected by this. I did not suicide bait because in that situation I was actually having thoughts of hurting myself. But I do want to apologize for not telling anyone I was fine. I get that I was emotional, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have given closure in the situation, especially when it involved potential death. I know that it was wrong of me and that it worried so many people, and for the sudden mood swing to kick in as people sat there wondering what was going on isn't okay either. From now on, if I ever have these suicidal thoughts, I'll make sure to give closure. I'm so sorry to everyone I had sent my fanbase to. It was completely immature and overall a misuse of my power. I shouldn't even have had them comment. I have a platform of 40k plus, and for me to use it in this way is completely unacceptable. I didn't understand the power I've had, but it didn't matter. I am still a content creator, and that is my full responsibility to make sure I use my platform in the correct way. I overall did more bad than good in this community. This apology goes to all the creators that have been affected by my actions. From now on, I will make sure to use my platform for good and never make this mistake again. I want to apologize to everyone who was triggered in my life because of my visible self-harm. I was unaware that it was visible and forgot to wear a hoodie. But there is no excuse. I was going live and I have a huge audience, and I have to make sure that these things don't happen. It could not only have triggered people already struggling with self-harm, but it could also have made many people relapse. As a content creator, I should have made sure that they weren't visible, because tens or even hundreds of people were watching my stream. Even if it was an accident, it still hurt others. From now on, I will make sure to cover them.